Prayers. I would share rights to report the reform does exist for the Joint Committee to commence business.
Thank you very much, honorable members. If the report of the quorum does exist for the Joint Committee to commence business, those in favor, please say aye. And not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. On that note, honorable members, welcome to the meeting. Before the agenda reads, prayers, review and adoption of the agenda, driven by the technical team, introduction by the participants, administration of affirmation or oath, meeting with former PS Petroleum and Energy, and any other business. Can any honorable member move that we adopt the agenda?
Yes, Chair, I move that we adopt the agenda.
Seconded? It has been moved and seconded the agenda be adopted. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Not in favor, please say no. Yes, and on that note, the agenda is adopted. Honorable members, already we've dealt with the first 3 items. Now we are proceeding to the 4th one, and that has to do with introduction by participants. To begin with my own research, I'm Alhaji Dago Kokia.
Honorable David Desani, okay.
Good afternoon, Honorable Saleh.
Joint Committee National.
Honorable Haji Bo, member of the committee. Honorable Somebody, member of the PET committee and the committee. Assalamualaikum. Moni Councillor, Honorable Amana Jiva, PET member, and also Joint Committee member.
Councillor.
Good afternoon, Lance is a key responsibility.
Assalamualaikum. Kewal Ufana nominated member of FPAG and member of the Joint Committee. Good afternoon. I'm Honorable Keba Imanisani, National Assembly member for the Yarol, and a member of the FPAG Committee.
Good afternoon. I'm Honorable Musa Cham, member of Serakunda and member of the FPAG Committee.
Good afternoon, Honorable Farid Shahlan Hassan Mendoy, member of FPAC and a member of this committee.
Good afternoon, Suleiman Jelme, member of Gulu, FPAC committee.
That's all. Thank you very much. Please proceed. Yes. That is the witness. No, at the edge. Are you already on the banana?
Good afternoon. I'm Dario. Is he going
Director of Audit National Audit.
Good afternoon, Yamu Dawgwe, Director of the National Audit Office.
Good afternoon, I am Modu Baji from the National Audit Office.
Yes.
Assalamualaikum, I am Amin Jai, Mrs. Yuf, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Information.
Thank you very much. You can now proceed Honorable members, the next item is the meeting of the Petrolium at the main. But before that, the administration of affirmation to be administered by the clerk of the committee.
I am Njai.
Do affirm that
I shall speak the truth,
I shall speak the truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We proceed to the next item, that is the main item of the agenda, meeting with former PS Petroleum and Energy. Welcome, Madam PS, to this important meeting. The parliamentary inquiry into the petroleum products of 36,935.61 for metric tons, valued at $30 million US. The inquiry is conducted by a joint committee comprising the Finance and Public Accounts Committee and Public Enterprise Committee, tasked by the National Assembly to inquire into allegations of bribery and tax evasion by Akoji, FZC, and Creed Energy Limited, and Ultimate Gauge Logistics on the sale of the said products and values as mentioned earlier on. It is in this regard that you are invited to shed light on the issue. The mode of questioning will have a lead questioner that will take you through to the questions of the Miafwin, and then you'll be invited to respond to those questions. Be very relaxed. It's not a big content exercise. We are only trying to establish the truth surrounding the allegations that were put forward to ascertain that, and that's why we feel the officials who were connected to this matter be invited to shed light. In essence, that's the whole essence of this particular meeting. In doing so, after the lead questioners' questions, the floor will be open for honorable members also who may ask supplementary questions. On that honorable lead questioner, you can now take the mic and then take us through the question.
Thank you very much, Co-Chair and President. You are welcome to the Parliament. And as earlier alluded to by the Chairman, we will start the questions by first asking you, when was your last deployment to the Ministry of Petroleum and Energy effective?
I started assume office on the 5th January 2023.
5th of
January 2023.
When were you deployed?
Sorry?
When were you deployed to your current position?
I also left assume office my current position on the 3rd.
On the 3rd
of July.
3rd of July?
Yes, this year, 2024.
2024. Which means you were there from the 5th of January 2023 to the 3rd of July 2024. Which is roughly 1 year, 7 months. Can you tell us what is the role of the Ministry of Petroleum, and as a permanent secretary, what were your primary responsibilities?
As far as the ministry is concerned, its primary role is to set the policy guidance for the sector. That is the key role of the ministry. I will also serve as an interface between each sectors, the SOEs under it, and also the executive. Basically, that is the key main function of the ministry, that is setting the policy guidance for the sector. As far as my responsibilities are concerned, one of the key responsibilities as a permanent secretary is that I serve as the board controller and the administrative head of the ministry. One of my responsibilities is that I serve as the key advisor to the minister, who is the policy responsible for the policy matters. Why I serve as the key advisor to the minister in executing his functions and the policy maker.
One of the responsibilities of the ministry, as Aaron stated, is to provide policy guidance for this sector. The formulation of those policies, do you have a process?
Yeah, there are processes, but it's just that as far as policy formulation is concerned, we don't have a one-off approach. There are different approaches to policy making, but the ideal procedure would probably be the best policy would be one that is guided by, an informed decision. That is, it is will push by an assessment or a study which would have, highlighted an issue, and then a key recommendation will come out of it, of which a policy will be formulated. That is one approach that can be taken in the process of formulating a policy. When that happens, then the ministry will take into the necessary consultation with the key stakeholders, which is another approach. If it's not, pushed by a study, it could also emanate from the sector ministry in consultation with key stakeholders to come up with a policy, which will then be prepared when it is finalized, will be taken to cabinet for endorsement. But also as the policy maker entrusted with the authority to come up with policy, a minister can also come up with a policy which may not be pushed by a study or be pushed by a collective decision, which is maybe stakeholders, a decision or an issue that is coming from the stakeholders. But the minister, by virtue of his position, can also come up with a policy which could be also pushed by different factors, but upon consultation with the executive to come up with a decision. And the executive also could come up with a policy which will come to the form of a policy statement, and it's issued, and civil or the public is expected to comply with those policies. That is, as far as policies go, that is my explanation as to some of the procedures that is, should be in place for that.
Thank you, Mrs. Jai. You have given us 4 different ways in which policies can be formulated. One is policies can be formulated after a study, and then key recommendations will be generated, and then the policy also can be emanate from key stakeholders within the sector. And the third one you give is the minister, by virtue of his position as well, can come up with a policy that would not be either informed by a study or by the stakeholders, and he can take it to parliament. And the fourth one is the executive can also come up with a policy directive. President, what would be the cycle of these policy statements from formulation to approval?
I think you will the first what are the conceptualization stage. That is where the policy itself is conceived. And I said that those are the examples that I've given. Once it is done to maybe a consultant, or it could be done through a task force, or through a committee, or through engagement by an individual to come up with, once the draft is ready. In most of the cases, it is validated. In most cases, especially when it's conceived through a collective approach where consultation has happened, we really always want to make sure that it is taken to the stakeholders for them to look at it and finalize on it. Once it is finalized, then a cabinet paper is prepared by the respective institution, and then it is presented to cabinet by the minister of that sector. Once it is endorsed, then a cabinet conclusion would be sent to the respective ministry, notifying them of the approval of that policy, and then it would become enforceable as far as policy is concerned.
Which means the part of every concept starts from every policy starts from the conceptualization stage, and it will end with an approval from the cabinet, that is the executive. Is it possible to have a policy being implemented by a ministry without having the executive approval?
It is a policy that will impact on a wider, because we may also have internal policies which, if it's limited to an institution, that one could be used without cabinet endorsement. But as far as policy is concerned, an official policy has to be endorsed by cabinet.
What do you mean by internal policy?
Let's take for instance an example I could give you. If you look at the civil service, you wouldn't have an official, let's say, fuel usage policy. It does not exist. But administrators or good managers would not want to be. If that happens, then you use your discretion as the manager or the head of the institution to manage. But you may decide to make sure that you are to formalize issues. You may want to come up with an internal policy on fuel usage, which is not a wider civil service because it does not exist. But you can also come with your internal policy, which will be just limited to the ministry, which you can see developed by the management. You discuss it, review it together, and once it is approved, the permanent secretary will be the approving authority as far as that policy is concerned, and then you can use it internally. So that is one of. But you may have other policies which do not exist civil service-wide, but you can use it internal policies to support you in managing those resources.
During your time, that is between January 2023 to July 2024 at the Ministry of Petroleum, were there any policies being formulated?
Yeah. Some policies were formulated. One would be the fuel security kind of policy, in which NPC was in there. That was the intention, was to ensure fuel security in this country. And I could remember that the ministry putting up a CP, which was taken to campaign and it was approved, where through that policy, the NPC was kind of tasked to ensure that there is a certain level of fuel stock in country, between 15 to 20 days fuel stock.
The fuel security policy or the related nomenclature that was being used, can you take us through the process of its formulation from conceptualization up to cabinet approval, giving us time marks along the way?
Yeah, and that policy came as a result of engagement we have internally. It started at the office. Upon once we are faced with a fuel crisis, kind of one day or two, and then we sit as a management and say, how do we apply this solution, knowing the impact of fuel in a country, how it can affect the economy, and then once it was discussed internally, then we also started engaging.
Well, when did that internal meeting happen?
I can't remember, to be honest.
You can't
The
remember?
dates, I cannot remember.
Month?
I cannot remember.
Which year was it?
It was last year.
Last year, 2023.
2023, yes. The month I cannot remember.
When you say internal meeting, can you tell us which office and which minister?
At the Minister of Petroleum.
At the Minister of Petroleum.
The Minister and us.
The Minister
And us, yes.
and you.
Yes.
The Permanent Secretary and other senior staff. Can you recall who else was on the meeting apart from the one the minister, the internal meeting?
The Director of Petroleum, who also served as the technical advisor to
Director of Petroleum?
Yes.
Yes.
Who was also my technical advisor when it comes to petroleum matters.
Yes, and who else?
So I think we were the three, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure
That
whether
is-
the DPS technical was there. I'm not sure, but I think I could remember the three of us discussing this.
This was yourself, the minister, and the director of Petroleum
Yeah.
during a management meeting.
A meeting. It wasn't an SFT.
It wasn't an
No, it
investment.
wasn't an
Do you have minutes of that meeting?
No.
You don't have minutes of
We
that
don't
meeting.
have minutes of that meeting because it was an to one. It was not an SMT. But we sat and discussed it, and then Minister said he would do further engagements on the issue. Yes.
So you can't remember the date and month this happened in 2023,
2023, yes.
but you cannot remember the date
I
and
cannot
month.
remember. I would have, because I received the notification last evening. In fact, it was sent to around to my colleague at Mopti. I got information last evening. I couldn't do much, so all the information I had to do this morning. So most of the information that I needed to bring, I could not.
And to confirm,
And I also was not foreseeing this issue because I thought all along I thought it was going to be focused on the saga itself. So this is not what I thought would be discussed in this.
the policy,
No, the policy on TNPC.
you didn't foresee it will be
No,
discussed.
to be honest, I did not foresee it. So I would have taken notes of those dates, and then what I can give you the dates if you allow me, maybe tomorrow.
Okay, I will later make request to the chairperson and you do that. But to confirm, you said you can recall the minister was present, yourself as the permanent secretary, and the director of what Petroleum?
Yes, Director of Petroleum.
Director of Petroleum.
Yes.
That is the three of you.
And the minister, yeah.
Okay. After that meeting, what happened next?
No, we discussed the issue, and then we also look at the pros and the cons. Let's say, we discussed on, how it might affect.
How what might affect?
The impact on GNPC. It's a public entity, and we all know most public entities are struggling. If we really want GNPC as an entity to, be given that responsibility of ensuring security for the fuel security for the country for between 15 and 20 days, it would be a challenge. But we also look at the other implication. If there is a fuel crisis, GNPC is the only government entity that is the player in the market. So it is safe for government to task GNPC to look at that than want to ask a private player to do that. And the minister also, by virtue of, if you look at the Petroleum Products Act 2016, is also given the responsibility of ensuring there is security, fuel security in this country. So when given those arguments in that discussion, the minister was really able we were able to agree that it is needed for us to work on that policy, and he also was able to engage, though not informally. I could not confirm, but he was able to engage relevant institutions, his colleagues in other sectors like justice, to to support, to look at the relevant legislation as to see whether what he is doing is in line with his mandate.
Madam Chair, can you take it step by step? You said you had a meeting.
Yes.
Where you were present,
Yes.
together with the minister and the director of Petrolium. Do you want us to take that meeting as the conceptualization stage of the policy?
Yes. As far as I'm concerned, that is the conceptualization stage.
Okay. After the conceptualization stage, in your earlier submission, you did indicate that normally there will be consultations with key stakeholders in the sector, you know, to really look at the viability and the need for the policy. After conceptualizing the need for a safety policy with regards to fuel security, did you have a wider consultation with the stakeholders?
Yes, we did. There was a meeting that was organized at the office where GNPC, I know GNPC was present in that meeting. The PC, I think, was also present in that meeting, and the ministry.
GNPC
management.
Management and who?
Was present. If I'm not mistaken, I think PC, the Petroleum Commission. If I'm not mistaken,
Petroleum Commission.
They were part of this meeting, the meeting and our management, and the meeting was chaired by the minister, where these issues were discussed. And GNPC has, in that meeting, highlighted, you know, their challenges if they are to be asked to take up that responsibility.
Do you have minutes of that meeting?
I'll find out.
When did that meeting happen?
I cannot remember.
You cannot have.
Yes, I'm just trying to recall because I will look at those records. I wouldn't be able to tell of that.
After that meeting?
Yes. And I also know, as part of the consultation, the Minister of Justice was also, he sought the advice of the Minister of Justice as to whether the ministry by virtue of his mandate in the Petroleum Product Act, whether he will not be violating, you know, any entity in relation to promulgate that policy.
Did you make a formal write-up in asking for the opinion of the Minister of Justice?
Yes, and I think we have received advisory from the Minister of Justice on that.
Chair, I would like to make a submission that we request for a write-up they sent to the Minister of Justice. The write-up that was dispatched to the Minister of Justice seeking their legal advice on whether or not the Minister have the mandate to come up with a government policy, and then also equally for the former PS to provide us with the minutes of their stakeholder engagement. Yes, Madam PS, before we move, apart from that stakeholder engagement you had where GNPC and the Petroleum Commission were in attendance, did you have any other stakeholder engagements?
No, I don't think so. I think after the receipt of the advisory from the Minister of Justice, I think that was when the CP was prepared.
Are you sure you didn't have?
Yes, I think.
As technical advisor to the minister, which was your role, which institutions, entities, and corporate bodies would you call stakeholders in the petroleum industry?
I think POLA would be a stakeholder.
POLA?
Being the regulator.
Yes.
The OMCs.
OMCs?
They are all oil, whatever.
Yes.
Who else? I refer to as a stakeholder. The board, GNPC board.
Board of directors, GNPC?
Yeah, I think they could have been also involved in the process, more finalization. Who else? I think Office of the rest in view of the fact that because the argument after the implementation, the argument coming from GNPC is that they have already signed Minister of Finance, of course.
Minister of Finance.
Finance, yes. They are also key stakeholder members.
Who else?
That is all I think I can.
What about the bonded warehouses where petroleum products are stored? Would they be considered as stakeholders or not?
Gun Petrolium and GPS. They would be. They might be able to help in terms of but
their inclusion will be based on your advice. Would you advise that they are key stakeholders or not?
On this policy on GNPC being given that mandate?
On the policy formulation that you were doing?
For me, I don't think it will be necessary for us to involve them at that stage.
Okay, now let's look at these 4 key stakeholders that you've listed. During your consultative meeting with the key stakeholders, was Pura invited?
No, Pura wasn't.
Were the OMCs, the oil marketing companies, were they invited?
No, they weren't.
Was the board of directors for GNPC invited?
No.
Were the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs invited?
Finance, I think the CP, if I'm not mistaken, because as far as also one of the engagement or consultation in formulating the CP or getting support, if one way of consulting, if they are not involved during the preparatory stage or the formulation of that whatever policy, that is the CP will also be sent to come to those institutions to seek for their support prior to the submission to cabinet. So I'm not sure whether that was done for finance, but that is one aspect where we also can be used to engage. But in terms of the actual consultation, no.
They were not consulted. Yeah. Why were they not consulted?
I think one of the issues really that pushed for not that wider consultation was the urgency is one thing, which we have tried. I, as the PS, have tried to ensure that we do that consultation, but the obvious was that we do not have time. We have to work fast to ensure that it becomes enforceable, to ensure that we are able to avert that situation of getting into a fuel crisis again.
You, as the PS, have tried, but the opinion was that you have to work fast. Whose opinion was that?
You know, when it comes to policy, like I said, my role is to advise. But when it comes to the final decision, it's the minister that takes the lead on that.
Yes.
Not me. So what we do, like I said, we advise. Whether that advice is heeded or not is another thing.
Yes. Now, the question is, whose opinion was that you don't have time and you need to do it very fast?
No, it's not about being told you need to do fast, but I think for this particular engagement, not what consultation was done.
Yes, no, but we need to get this clear.
Yes.
The question was, why was it that consultation was not done? You said it was because of the urgency. And in your submission, you did indicate that in your capacity as the PS, you did advise for the consultation to be done. But the opinion was that it was urgent and we needed to do it.
That's the minister. But what is your
so it was the opinion of the minister. It was the opinion of the minister that due to the emergency on the ground, there were a consultation. Let's talk about the critical this stakeholders there. The oil marketing companies, why did you think that it was important to have this stakeholder consultation?
Because one, like I said, the state was 1 year is better than 2 years better than one. Maybe we were in a consultation to mind having able to get a better option.
The policy
particular policy is concerned.
It's concerned.
In the document.
It doesn't. That was to put GNPC in a position of privilege with regards to fuel security.
That is how you see it.
No, I'm just asking you.
It's not privilege.
Okay.
GNPC was kind of asked to shoulder that responsibility
Which responsibility?
of ensuring that at every given point of time, there is fuel availability within 15 to 20 days.
When was this policy finally approved by a parliament?
Not parliament, cabinet.
By a cabinet, sorry, by a cabinet.
It was last year. But the month I cannot do
You should be able to give us a specific time.
I cannot be
You were the permanent secretary in the ministry. Policy formulation is one of the cardinal responsibilities as the key advisor to the minister. These are milestones which can be a collection of your what legacy. You will understand if you don't know the day, the month it was conceptualized. You will understand if you don't know or you can't remember the day that you met the minister together with the head of Petrolium. But if you can equally remember the month in which the policy was approved by the government, that will make other questions. Can you tell us which one was the policy approved by the government?
To be honest, like I said, I can't remember the month. I know it was last year. But the exact month, I cannot remember. Like I said, I wasn't expecting to be asked questions on this. What was
Was that the only policy that was passed during your period?
No, that's not the only policy.
Can you tell us?
The other policy that was passed would be I will not call it a policy because it has not gone to cabinet. But there were two kind of guidelines, which were also produced by the minister, issued by the Minister of Petroleum and Energy. And this has to go with giving additional clarification on the importation of fuel. Who does what, whether you are required to, in terms of the whole responsibility of international traders, the OMCs, those that want to come to purchase fuel for re-export trade. So there are two policies we are only seeking. I will not call them policies, but kind of guidelines which were issued by the minister.
I would send a document to you. You can look at it. If you know it's the same document, you are referring to it. You can confirm to us.
Yes, this is one of them. There is another one that
Can you read the title of the document?
government policy to define the limits for the positioning, importation.
Sorry, we are not hearing you.
Okay. Government policy to define the limits for the positioning, importation, and re-export of petroleum products.
When was this policy approved by Parliament?
Cabinet.
By Cabinet, sorry. When was it approved by Cabinet?
This one, there is no cabinet conclusion on this.
There is no Cabinet conclusion, but it is a policy. The title is government policy. So, can you tell the Stock Student Committee when was this policy conceptualized? How and when was it conceptualized?
The how I am not able to tell you because as far as this document is concerned, this was triggered by the minister. All I was given was a draft copy which was sent to me by email for me to go to it. That's what I have done. But apart from that, it has not gone to, I'm not able to witness any consultation on this particular one.
So, this is your submission that there was no consultation on this policy.
As far as I'm aware.
And you were the permanent secretary.
Yes.
Would it be normal that a government policy would be conceptualized in your ministry with that government?
On a normal it's not supposed to happen if you have to follow the procedure. But like I said, my key role as a PS is to advise where it is solved. If it is not solved, I am not able to advise.
Were you informed of any other engagements? Did you have information of any engagements on this particular policy?
Yes, based on when I consulted the minister, he has told me that this was supposed to be, through engagement with experts from the sector, the Minister of Justice, his colleagues. But to be honest, there was no formal communication I can confirm as I can attest to. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm not really involved in any consultation with any other person in relation to this one.
Was it the law that the minister can do consultations with regards to policy formulations without the presence of his or her advisors? In this case, the permanent secretary and senior management team of the ministry.
Anyway, I used to, that is not supposed to be, that is not the norm. But like I said, I will not also have not come across any document that is like saying, kind of restricting, that this is what you should do to come up with the policy. Yeah, so he being the key, that responsibility of coming up with the policy, and is entrusted to him. There are certain policies which, if you really want to get a more informed policy, the idea is consult and there are processes. But as the one mandated, if you don't feel that if you feel that you have all it takes to come up with a policy, that's not stopping you from doing that. And if I'm not consulted, like I said, I will advise where that advice is solved. If it is not solved, I might advise, but I may not, and if I don't agree that advice, nobody will know that I will be telling that I want to consult it.
Was this policy presented to the cabinet for approval?
I'm not aware because in most cases when we get PRCD, most cases I prepare the draft CDP. I prepare the draft CDP and then give it to the minister for him to look at it. If it's okay, then we can submit it to the cabinet office. But as far as this one is concerned, I have no CDP on this.
Why did you call this a guideline even though the document clearly says it is a policy?
Because given the fact that it have wider effect, it's not really limited to the business, but it affects the wider sector. So, and the fact that I have not seen any conclusion on this, I cannot call it a policy.
You are saying it have a wider impact, not only limited to the ministry. And that it doesn't have any cabinet approval. You haven't seen one.
I haven't seen one.
Now, as the advisor to the minister, can you take us through that policy document and explain to this joint committee what the intention and rationale of the policy document is and what impact it will have in the petroleum sector and other relevant sectors? Please do.
services. These are the two storage facilities in the country. And then the other is, as you are very much aware, energy security is national security. And as such, government primary role is to facilitate the availability, accessibility, and availability of petroleum products in the country at all times. The unavailability of petroleum products, particularly petrol, PMS, and diesel, impacts negatively on the economy, particularly in the realm around cost of living and quality of life of the people, not to mention the indirect effects of reduced productivity. In consideration of the above and to ensure a secure and consistent supply of petroleum products for use in the Gambian domestic market and for the export, the government of the Gambia welcomes all genuine partners to participate in the petroleum value chain. This is particularly relevant to international traders, OICs, depositors, etc., with the financial and operational capacity to bring petroleum products and deposit them at the storage depot defined as the border. So far as the product meets the relevant national standards and specifications and the storage requirements of the depot. This is designed to enable market operators have access to the products and as well safeguard the participation and interest of all stakeholders on non-discriminated terms. Again, this backdrop.
Sorry.
Yes.
Can you tell us the implications of that particular paragraph? The rationale behind it?
The rationale behind it, like I said, is to ensure that it's always fuel in this country. And what that does is that this particular section is making it very clear that the depot is at the disposal of all players, be it an international player, OIC, or a depositor. And this storage, majority of the storage facilities are expected to give a level playground to all players.
What would have warranted the minister to come up with this paragraph as part of this policy?
I would, since I'm not told, I think all of the
When I don't ask someone, he asks you to edit. When you are to edit something, it shows that you have a superior comprehension of the content and the meaning.
When you edit
Anything other than legal capacity goes beyond the grammatical representation. It means the content, the context, and the interpretation of what is embedded in those statements. So, in that capacity, as the advisor of the minister, what were the reasons that warranted him to come up with this in the policy?
I have already given you those reasons, which I already had told and ensuring availability of revenues, which is our priority, the number one priority as far as the ministry is concerned.
That is to make sure that food is available at all times. Were there any standards stopping international traders? Were there any standards or regulations in the ministry which were stopping international traders from bringing their food to the table? You are aware. Okay, you can proceed to the next paragraph.
Against this backdrop, and in further of our letter dated 14 September 2023, I hereby communicate government's policy number MOP or PP/PP/PP002, defining the limit of importation of petroleum products from petroleum depots for businesses within the Ghanaian market, and for the export of petroleum products from a storage depot to a neighboring country. This policy is further illustrated in the attached systematic diagram. Additionally, the government hereby affirms that the owner, in bracket seller, of a petroleum product that is stored at the storage depot is permitted to sell his product to a buyer, capped at the prevailing government price structure. However, to rule out any doubt and also engender additional competition, sellers remain at liberty to price below this rate. Equally, concerning the sale transaction taking place at the storage depot, referred to as the border between the seller and buyer, the seller has the right to decide on the method and location, local or foreign bank account the buyer should settle the invoices.
Can you take us through that paragraph? Can you add context to the meanings of those words?
What this is also emphasizing is that be it an international trader or a local MC or OLC, as long as you have your product at a storage facility, you can sell at that level, can sell at that level. And then how the payment is done should be determined by whoever is doing whoever is selling.
Is it the responsibility of the minister to preempt or direct original arrangements of business transactions between parties?
No original arrangement. As far as the petroleum sector is concerned, when it comes to those original arrangements, who are the regulators taking the responsibility of doing that part. As far as the business is concerned, we focus on policy and matters.
To be specific, I will read this line to you. It should be the third to last line. It says, concerning the sale transaction taking place at the storage depot between a seller and a buyer, the seller has the right to decide on the method and location in the local or foreign bank account the buyer should settle the invoices. The question is it the responsibility of the ministry to regulate the buyer and seller settlement terms?
That's not our responsibility.
That's not the responsibility. But as per your own understanding, what is that line trying to suggest in the policy?
I don't know.
You know, this is civil and you will be in that position, madam. Responsibility will be fair. Okay?
It's not a thing you don't understand. Like I said, this particular sentence, it is indicating that as a seller, you have the responsibility to decide as to how your payment is done. That is how I understand it.
That's how I understand it. And do you stand by your earlier solution that it's not the responsibility of the ministry to suggest anywhere?
That's not our responsibility.
Did you advise the minister to expunge that particular portion from the policy by the time you were editing it?
No.
Why?
I didn't.
Why did you advise him?
As far as this particular letter is concerned, this particular policy is concerned, like I said, it was sent by email for me to look at. But as far as I know, all the technical investigation that the minister has done, as far as I'm concerned, what I think about to see going to implementation is, draft which was followed. But as far as the technical details are concerned, I didn't know that because, like I said at the beginning, it wasn't that close to the beginning.
We had, you did that correctly. But you said, as part of the responsibilities, you are the chief advisor to the minister with regards to police formulation. And here you are, even though the earlier stages or the entire stages of this particular policy were never consultative, but at the final end, the minister gave it to you to edit. And this particular portion here is a direct interference, which is not the role of the minister. Why did you think that it wasn't your responsibility to advise?
On this?
Yes.
Well, I'm the one who say it was an oversight, but to be honest, as far as this is concerned, going into operational issues is not our responsibility.
You have seen, you have advised him.
We have done thousands of those.
No,
During my engagement with him. I don't shy away from my responsibility as a yes. Wherever I am supposed to advise, I do that. Whether it is considered or not is another thing. What I do that. And my ministers have worked with people tell that I don't shy away from my responsibility in advising. Even when I know it's not what would be, it's not accepted, it will not accept it.
I appreciate, but again, on this particular instance, if you had noted this line, would you have advised the minister?
Because I have advised him on more serious matters than this.
Thank you. You did say that it was to an year. Child proposed that to be a request for a period of the year, where the minister sent you this advice. But I really appreciate it. You will appreciate the difference.
It is also important to understand that.
And the question for the solution of the year that was sent by the minister, asking the peers to edit the policy statement. Yes. To the permanent secretary. Yes. Policy. Yes. Yes. You may proceed.
It is also important to understand that international materials or OMCs and depositors of petroleum and storing depots facilitate availability of products. Products to license operators in country to have access to products. In this regard, the product owner which stocks at the depot can choose to instruct a buyer to pay an invoice into a foreign account as per the agreed commercial terms. Effectively, the payment is in $11. However, the payment is the preferred option.
Can you tell us this particular
this particular section, I think it is still on operational issues. How the important emphasizes the fact that the international markets are the ones that brings the petrol products into the country and to make it available to our OMCs. And then the other, it's almost similar to the previous paragraph. It's still on the board of payment. How to pay and where to pay it. It's the same.
Only that it added more flesh to the other paragraph. You see that it's an institution of the international trader, where the funds will be paid in the local currency or in dollar, and which accounts this is the again, is this the role of the minister?
It is not the role of the ministry as far are more operational issues.
They are more operational issues.
But the minister, by virtue of his mandate, I think where there tends to be unclear regulations, it is also on him to be able to come up with submissions that are able to ensure that they are clear, how do I call it? Clear policies that would kind of, make to provide clarity on issues where there are ambiguity.
In your capacity as the permanent secretary, are you aware of any ambiguities in the regulations which this particular provision in the policy in the restaurants?
Maybe probably they don't ambiguity, but in the level of understanding. I think what I can put it forward as far as this particular issue is concerned. When this petroleum saga issue, as far as the ministry is concerned, we have not, I in particular, have never received any formal communique from any entity forwarding the findings of the FIU on this transaction of apology and whatever. But we are able to, I was able to get the information from the social media. And if you look at some of if you read through the report, you will realize that it is indicated apology is being, the opinion is that as long as apology is not licensed in this country, there is no, it has never been issued a license. So even if it is not licensed, it cannot operate. It cannot sell in this country. And then upon seeing that, I had to refer to the resolution to see whether that is the case. And then when I looked at it, I also did my other consultation because like I also knew in the field, I was in the learning process when all of this issue started. Then I started consulting, asking the experts as to what is the reality, who is saying what. I have looked at the resolution. It wouldn't come out like I could tell them that as an international level. But if you look at the licensing process, it says you have to apply and then it's provided X, Y, Z. But here we are told that there is an international player coming. And the government is in the part of ask the water. So what is it called? One engagement, both internally and with some of my colleagues after no case. I have been able to establish that as a trader, an international trader, you don't need to license to be able to bring products, store in the country and sell. So if by doing that you are not violating any policy, of course if you sell, you must be doing it. You must get you must be paying. How do you pay? In that sense, if you are selling, you are going to provide means of getting how you should decide as how that payment is done. So I see this particular paragraph as trying to really provide additional information, show that we will work like that. Because a lot of people, that is what a lot of people think that as long as you are not licensed, you cannot operate. And I think this is based on international standards. International traders, they can sell products. And if you sell whatever you sell, you must be paid. And there must be a means of paying. If our regulations have not provided provide that much information or that much explanation as to how that payment is done, this I believe was trying to provide. That is how I saw it. That is why as far as I'm concerned, I was okay with it. That it was trying to provide clarity on international trade. Because apparently not only international trade, that is people in this country, but we have others that also selling people as far as the industry is concerned. So that is how I see it. As far as
Madam Secretary, I'm telling this committee that you firmly believe that this particular provision in the policy was providing clarity. Clarity in response to what? That's why I asked you, in your capacity as the permanent secretary, were you aware of any issues, be it challenges that the overseas were facing, international traders were facing, that might require the minister to come up with this solution? Can you tell us?
We have had some players who really do not understand how international traders.
Can you specifically those players, can you have their needs?
We have had engagement. One is Jawad. Jawad, yeah. Secretary Jawad.
Jawad is an international trader. They are local. They will be they will really face these difficulties.
What difficulties?
As you highlighted before.
No, I mean this could be, as a result of some of the that report, like the report from the FIU did indicate that they are not licensed and are operating in this spot.
No, we are not selling it from the FIU report. You see, the minister made a policy. And in your submission,
when was this policy prepared? It was after the FIU report, which was on social media, it was everywhere.
This policy and the FIU report, if we are correlated, that will be at the level of the ministry. For us, we are looking at them as civil elements. But the question is in relation to the organizations measures that policies are meant to address critical issues in this sector. This particular provision, which gives option to international traders as to where they can land proceeds of their petroleum sales. The intention behind it, or the constraints it intends to remedy in the field, that's what we are asking for. Where you, as the former permanent secretary, were aware of any?
That is what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay, which one?
First of all, there are issues, several issues. First, you was an issue. You said it by being aware of the challenge. We have had complaints, formal complaints from Jarrod, saying that they did not get a privilege. They wanted to store their products, and those products were given to space, has been given to a non-licensed company.
I don't like to stop you, but my question is not related to the I will make it again. It is so important to understand that international traders always at the competitors of petroleum products and installation of facility. The availability of products to the legacy operators in the country to have access to products. In this regard, the product owners which sell at the depot can choose to install a buyer to pay an invoice into a foreign bank account as per the agreed commercial terms, effectively deployment in the government address. However, it remains the preferred option. These are the defense evolutions in the policy. And the question is, what challenges were they intended to resolve? If you were aware of any, you were not. But other than me, I agree that this is an area which the police institutional and because they are already institutional ones. Okay. Let's go to the last one. The last one, nonetheless.
Okay, nonetheless, hopefully the German at the border and find products sourced from international markets. We are focused that the funds must be repatriated to the seller's foreign bank account to enable them to continue to procure the petroleum products in order to secure the availability of products at the border for licenses operators. This remains critical to ensure business continuity for the Gambian market and for the export to the neighboring countries.
As this is Mr. Shakabarat, is this also the responsibility of the minister? The last one?
What I assist the community to maintain governance for community liquidity and environment for all players in the sector to ensure the highest population and activity. Fine.
Madam Chair, the last three paragraphs you read. The first paragraph basically was about the seller, that's the international trader, having the right to tell where his proceeds would go, whether in the local accounts or international accounts. The second to last paragraph was on the method of what? Payment. And the last paragraph itself really treated government's cognizance with regards to the fact that international traders need to be paid. So which means the policy was more or less a financial guideline. Why did you think the university didn't fit to provide solidarity for a guideline for the policy?
Letter said, Ministry of this letter, this communique was issued to ensure to provide more clarity on issues involving the sale of petroleum in this country.
So you were not there during the conceptualization, and you are not aware of any considerations that are done by the ministry, and you cannot confirm that it was approved at the limit. But indeed, the minister sent it to you to be edited before it was sent. Did you know of the company called Petrolium?
I haven't.
How did you come to know about it?
I think Apodi, I came to know about Apodi. I'm not sure anyone came for, but I know we received a complaint as a ministry from Jawad, complaining of indiscrimination against Ghana Petroleum. They applied for unit. I think 6,000 tons for PMS and 80. I'm not sure which one is for, but they were denied. And that, as part of their submission, they also mentioned that they were aware that that space was given to anyone licensing to their call approach. It was an international material, and 80% of the unit was given to approach.
When did Java share complaint?
I think it was around July, if I'm not mistaken, last year.
Was Java the only company that made a formal
I
complaint?
think all also did to Kura. Java also did to Kura as well. Yeah.
Upon receipt of those formal complaints, what did the ministry do?
For Java's case, when we received that complaint, first we as a ministry, we know it was a regulatory issue. Because it has to do with education and that it was a regulatory issue. and we are aware that Kura was also getting the American public. In fact, Kura was positive before we were getting to and also there was a complaint that there was also addressed to Gambia to East Africa. So we have received all these correspondence. So we said since it's a regulatory matter that Kura has been getting into, we will give them guidance whether we will see any someone who will go into the job or but that is how the issues were that is how communication happens. And I think after 1 or 2 months, around many people don't get out from work. The minister is sent, and I think he sent a letter to just to find out what was so bad has been done to complain to the
Was the outcome of your inquiry?
And that outcome did not give us the desired result. If I don't know what I think we will have written back to the ministry. Informing that those it is a regulatory funding. If I have visited, but I think if they have funded that, yes, they are regulatory demand, Kura is an independent entity and should be taken that to be allowed to work on without the interest from
So, as a ministry, we really engage young people.
Like I said, the government is regulatory. Even if we engage young people, what can we do? Can we issue an action against we don't have that money. And knowing the fact that the poor are engaged. And also, the GCCDC also by and also as contacted the minister and informed that they are also on an investigation into that knowledge. So knowing that the two entities are already who are really mandated to take up for issues are working on that. We don't need this. We don't want to get into that stage, but to allow those two entities to do their investigation and hopefully the news will be more to see at the end of the day we'll get the outcome of those investigation.
Finally, the period of the coming with the conclusion
up to my movement to the Minister of Information. We have not received any formal communication from Kura informing us of the outcome of that investigation.
Up to the time of your leaving the ministry, can you tell us where you had any information which might suggest that the situation at the level with regards to the village allocations did it change? Did it favor of governments?
We have invited, we did control a stakeholder meeting when we received this complaint from Jarawan. We invited all of OMCs together with EPS and Petrolium to a meeting for us to discuss the issue. That was done.
What was the outcome of that meeting?
Outcome of that meeting, because we didn't also want as a ministry to hear from both sides. We received information from Petrolium, but we thought it to from Jarawan. It's good that we all stakeholders on board to see how we are able to solve that what we can do is ensure that we are able to, and then we divided all of them. It is through those engagements that we have had from Jarawan, as well as I think all of these also they are also listening and accommodating. And then in that meeting, Jarawan has indicated that yes, they acknowledge allocating 80% of the village to approach in June. And then what they said, the the explanation they gave to that the reason why that was done is that they also indicated that from April to May, their tanks were empty. None of the LDCs were doing maintenance with them. And having waited for more than 2 months, having empty storage, which was the nascent of their business. So once they received this submission, this application from Abuja, they gave it out because at that time, their storage tanks were all empty. None of those components was doing business with them at that time. That was the explanation. And I think that was the explanation from and I think we were able to produce documents to indicate that they were empty before June. And then they have promised that yes, it is true that they have already allocated 80% of unit to but going forward from that meeting, we are going to once
they allocated 80% of the unit to Petrolium. Okay. Yes.
It was empty. There are tanks for the May 2023, before June. 3 years. Empty, yes.
That was what they told you.
Yes.
Who was represented in that meeting?
What do it? Usman
was in that
meeting.
Usman was in that meeting. He was the one who represented the
representative.
Okay. Apart from the complaints or through the complaints that you received from Java and Amarex, did you come out with support in any other correspondence or in physical representations of the European correspondence, etc.?
Me and Apoji?
Yes.
No.
Okay, do you know of a company called Credit Energy?
No.
Do you know of a company called PETROLEum Logistics?
No. But they are not licensed as far as the ministry is concerned. They are not issued license.
Are you aware of the situation where the public utilities and regulatory authority found 2 companies selling petroleum products without the required licenses, and they were fined?
Yeah, we were informed.
You were informed. I want to bring to your attention that those 2 companies in question are Clean Energy and PETROLEum. When we were informed about these 2 companies, what was the decision of the ministry?
Because we were in that support.
In terms of enforcement, ensuring that they recover their fines of 500,000.
Enforcement is not our responsibility. For us, for the responsibility to focus on what is in the matter.
Why do you think
Enforcement of the regulatory matter, that is the goal.
why do you think they informed you? Why were you informed by people? What is it in the Bible of notice?
Yes, of course, we can by the sector ministry if there is any issue, challenge or we as a ministry we need to aware, and this is known, this is what is happening. 2 operators have been, companies have been operating illegally, they have been.
Yes, proceed.
Yes, we are partners. And if you are partners, it's good that we always control and involve each other on our investigating our activities.
So, Pura sent you the copy in their correspondence just so they propose a filing, right?
As far as this issue is concerned, it doesn't mean what they have been filed, other than the punitive measures that have been taken by the court on that, on those supporters or offenders.
Do you know where those punitive measures of your taken ended up being settled by the respective companies, that is by only in October, on October 10th, 2023, logistics rolled back to the people, indicating to them that they didn't break any laws and citing the policies as they are obeyed within the petroleum sector and as they were issued by the ministry.
Which policy?
The petroleum policy.
The petroleum regulation policy or the gazetted policies? That is what they're referring to, or
the policy statement that your ministry pronounced ultimately logistics took reference from that policy and refused to pay the fine of $500,000 to the period.
I'm not aware. This is the first time for me to hear that they haven't paid it. Because formally, I have not received affairs, we have not received any formal authority from any formal that these two entities have refused to comply, pay for the policies. Coming from the ministry.
Yes. Apple started trading into the petroleum in Ghana from April, May, going to June. Ultimately, logistics and clean energy were apprehended for trading on petroleum products to the family required license in June of 2023. Pura wrote to them and fined them on the 6th of October 2023. And the ministry came up with the policy document on the 30th of October 2023. Thereafter, a week after that, ultimate village logistics rolled back, refusing to pay. Were you aware?
I'm not aware, to be honest. This is the first time I'm hearing that I will comply.
Are you surprised that all these things happened during your time at the ministry? Without your knowledge?
I'm not aware. And Pura will not tell you that I have any complaint. There is no formal communication from Pura to the ministry concerning this particular issue you are telling me.
What would you say with the suggestion that that policy was meant to facilitate payments to Abuja by OMCs? It was equally meant to facilitate the shipment of those petroleum proceeds, and it was equally meant to exonerate clean oil and availability from any legal liabilities.
That is your opinion.
No, what would you say to it? You are the technician.
That is your opinion. It's your opinion.
Now prove it wrong based on the merit of the policy itself. You have the policy with it. You have the policy. Now prove that statement wrong. That indeed this policy was needed for the wider public good, but not to serve a specific purpose. Take us through any relevant provision in that policy that will suggest more wider public relevance.
I am not a legal person, but to say that this letter or this guidelines gave Creed and the other company the license to operate in this country, I don't think that is the case.
No, that is not what it
That is
is.
because this is a policy.
I'm the one who said it.
Yeah.
So that is not what is said. What is being said here is the policy didn't come as a coincidence, looking at the timing and the sequence of events. The suggestion on the table is that the policy came in to enable Abuja shift its financial proceeds as per the last three paragraphs. And the policy also came in to legitimize the illegal operations that was done by greed and ultimately. That is an opinion which is on the table. But now you are being given the opportunity to say otherwise by using provisions on the policy itself.
This policy or guidelines is preceded by an act, which is the Petroleum Products Act 2016. That act has provided given provisions as to who should be selling products in this country. The petroleum products importation regulation and that of the petroleum products storage regulations all exist. And those regulations have gone through the process and have been gazetted. And I don't think this policy should supersede those regulations, which have clearly stated, the terms and conditions under which one can operate in this country. So I agree, disagree, that this policy alone would not have tied Ola's hands to allow them to make them not be able to take up their regulatory functions as expected. Like I said, the genesis, if your scenario you have given, it's your opinion, but I do not think that the ministry would in any way want to work to ensure that we are able to enable a foreign company to come and extort us of our resources and match up with it. I think that is a gross appreciation on the side of the ministry, and it's not fair.
No, this is not a court of law where we are evaluating what is fair or not. We are looking at the evidence that is presented before us. Earlier on, I did bring three paragraphs, which are provisions in the policy before you. And you were asked to give your expertise advice on them. And you did accept the fact that those were areas that the ministry shouldn't delve into. That's all.
But the fact that
No.
The fact that
no, allow me.
there are regulatory issues.
Madam Jai, you will answer the questions.
Madam, the peers, the analysis indicated that it's very lax in responsibilities. Why the big person is asking question, always expected to give time. When we start, then can come and then answer the question.
Thank you, Chair. Madam Chair, there are three provisions, three paragraphs. All of them were about basically agreements that should be between two business partners. And these were explicit on the face of the policy. You went through it and you acknowledged to the fact that this should be part of the policy. Right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
You can use the mic. Is that correct? Yes, and here we are. All we are trying to do is to give you the opportunity to defend the policy.
Like I said, this policy did not come through. Like I said, I only received a draft letter. Looked at, and like I said, I looked at the in fact it wasn't through email, almost ready. Look at the grammatical part of it. Like I said already, I have been informed that due consultation has been taken in the relevant whatever. At the, level, at the level of the minister. I was not able to involved at the consultation stage. So I cannot give you any additional information as far as this is concerned.
Do you have any evidence to suggest that you...
No. Like I said I was not involved at the consultation. So I cannot attest to any engagement as far as this is concerned.
Do you know why is it difficult to stop the questions from coming? Because you were the permanent secretary, and you did indicate that your primary responsibility is to give advices to the minister.
Yeah.
And you also did indicate that at the tail end of the conceptualization, you were given the opportunity to edit. Which means, at some point, you had an interaction with this document. So you cannot be completely exonerated from the process. It is up to you at that point to look at your responsibility, whether it was meant to that of editing or to give your professional advice. And if you ask this parliament, you will tell you that what was required from you at that moment was to give your professional advice.
Which couldn't be given within that.
So it is your submission that as far as this policy is concerned, you don't know anything about its technicalities, but you can confirm that it was not conceptualized. You cannot confirm that whether consultations were done. You cannot confirm that whether it has gone to Parliament. But in fact, you are not calling it a policy. You're calling it what? A guideline. And for two reasons. One of the reasons is, according to your submission, it doesn't have the cabinet approval.
I have not seen it.
No, you said if it were to have the cabinet approval, you would have been responsible to draft what?
Yes, if it's going to the normal cabinet, whatever, I draft.
You draft what?
In most cases, the cabinet is CP, cabinet paper.
Did you draft the cabinet paper?
No, I didn't.
You didn't. Did you see any cabinet paper later? Which means it doesn't have any cabinet approval. And this is why you didn't call it a policy. Chair, based on those, I would submit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Honorable members. And the PS. So the questions and the answers that we will give. Honorable members, I will now open the floor. It was precisely to ask questions that were not asked and answered. Okay? The floor is open. Honorable Bob.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much, Co-Chair. Now, I just want to get some more clarification on the issue of companies, that is Jawel and Oris, in relation to the unit issues that they write to complain about. Because if I understand it correctly, based on the previous question, you said that you do receive complaints from those two companies, at least from Jawel. Yeah, but I can also say that from documentation we have, Oris also had the same issue.
Yes.
Yeah, they did. Now, when they write to the ministry about the issue of ullage, what was your response at the time?
I think we have responded to Jawel, informing them that the matter will be looked at and then we will get back to them.
Okay, so what was the outcome of that? What, after you looking at it, what was the outcome?
The outcome, like I said, when we know that Kola was also written to and being the regulator. And the issue, we're all aware that it was a regulatory matter, it was ullage. And we know there are guidelines, Kola has set guidelines on that attempts to ensure that there is competition in accepting the depot. So, and we would, since it is a regulated matter, we know Kola using those guidelines would be good to do the necessary consultation, and whoever is found wanting, they will have to take the immediate measures. So upon I think after a month or two, we did write to Pura when we have not received any communique from Pura on the issue to find out as to where they were. In the same period also, we were also engaged by the GCCPC, who Orex wrote to the GCCPC, and they also engaged this rate. And in that meeting, in fact, as far as I'm concerned, I didn't know that their mandate also, crossed across that. And it is in that meeting, introductory meeting, that I came to know that by virtue of their act, they are also mandated to look at such issues. So knowing that both PURA and the GCCPC were working on the same issue, which is tollage, and which also spans within the same period, we as a ministry thought, and we will allow them to do their job. And the fact that we are involved in the engagement, we will be able to get the feedback as to the outcome of those engagements. Like I said, unfortunately for PURA, we have not gotten any official communique from PURA on the outcome of their, despite the fact that we know. But GCCPC, after the conclusion of their investigation, sent us their report and also the outcome of the investigation, and they have also taken remedial measures in terms of recommendation that which they have submitted to Petrolium to ensure that going forward they abide by those conditions. And we know by virtue of their mandate also they can enforce if Petrolium does not pay heed to those recommendations from ECCPC.
Thank you very much, PS. Is there any regulation on ullage in the country?
We have the petroleum products importation, but when it comes to ullage itself, what should be on the ground, who should access what, it is non-existent. And that is one of the issues we are planning to look at as a ministry, to see how we work with PURA to ensure that we are able to get those regulations, to be able to avert such happenings going forward.
Yes, because again, if you look at the issue of ullage and the fact that there is no regulation, and you will clearly see that Oryx on several occasions actually has complained about that. Jawel, as a matter of fact, has complained. In fact, at the end, Jawel was actually using even ground transportation. And in fact, the evidence they provided, you will see that they have consistently sought approval from the ministry so they can bring this petrol product by land because they could not get space to store their products. Now, with all these issues actually happening almost at the same time, as the person responsible to advise the minister, was there any point in time when you asked the minister, perhaps there need to be a regulation of ullage in the country? Because what's happening actually, it seems there's an impact on both Oil and Oryx, as far as we know, because we are yet to deal with all of them. But it seems, in fact, there was an issue, real issue on ullage. So at that point in time, did you make any recommendations to the ministry? Because it's the responsibility of the ministry to come up with regulations on the ullage. Was there any recommendation to that effect?
If it's recommendation in terms of submission format, no, but we as management, we have looked at the issue and really agreed that we need to work on a regulation. And that those were supposed to be part of our work program for this year, next year, to be able to come up with the resources to do consultant to get us the requisite regulation that is needed to regulate the sector as far as ullage is concerned.
Yeah, but the issue is just very, very specific about ullage. That is the utilization of the space that's actually available at the Petrolium. So, what would a consultant actually do in that regard? Because this is just very specific about how do you allocate available spaces so that the petrol shortage or any other shortage will not actually happen.
But you know the reason why? Because already there is already, if you look at PURA's, the petroleum products importation and also speech, there is also another regulation on storage capacity, which has PURA has made it very clear that allocation of ullage should be on a first come first serve basis. Though it doesn't mean that it's non-existent, but you have those policies, and also there's always need to be a competition in the process, and where ullage is also given to a company, PURA will always be a copy. So that with all those recommendations, PURA should be able to establish if you apply and you are rejected based on those documents. That is if Petrolium, abides by those regulations. They should be able to know, if there is space, given those corresponding, people should be able to know whether there is space or not, and this will be able to help them get an information if there is a complaint from. But we see that as an anomaly, and we are wanted to work on it to ensure that we are able to come up with those regulations, and also to see how we also review some of our existing laws to make sure that the caps that have been able to, we have identified as a result of some of these unfortunate situations, we are able to reinforce them.
Yes, in terms of pricing of these products.
Sorry?
As in terms of the pricing,
yeah.
I just want to be guided. Because, for example, these dealers, when they come to the country, and according to this, how would I call it? Is it a policy or guideline, whatever? That's the one that we have before you. If you look at it, it's actually saying. It's saying, if you check on the second page, the first paragraph, it says, additionally, the government hereby affirm that the owner or seller of a petroleum product that is stored at a storage depot is permitted to sell its products to a buyer capped at the prevailing government price structure. Now, who is responsible to monitor this government price structure when these people are selling? Who is responsible?
That will be a regulated matter.
No, I understand.
PURA should be watching on that. Because we have a cap, every month, at the beginning of every month, before, the last week, final week of the month, a pricing committee exists that would sit and forward their recommendation to the Minister of Petroleum for onward transmission to his colleague in finance for approval. Usually the variables that are used is the forex exchange rate, the flat prices, and the foreign density. These are the three variables that we use to do a formula and then send their recommendation. Once that is approved, then PURA is informed, and then PURA would inform the ONCs. It is the responsibility of PURA to ensure that at least those selling prices adhere to those approved prices.
So you are saying that the PURA will take charge to ensure those prices are adhered to?
It's supposed to.
But does the ministry actually, who plays an oversight on PURA? Do you have any interest, or do you normally check whether those prices actually are adhered to or not?
No, and we don't have oversight over PURA. PURA is on the Ministry of Finance.
On that?
Ministry of Finance.
No, but you give directives to PURA.
On the rates.
On the rates, exactly.
Approve.
And even on some other regulations about the petroleum sector,
yes.
It doesn't come from the Ministry of Finance, it comes from you.
I know.
Exactly, yeah. So if you said, okay, we're going to this the price that should be sold for all petroleum products, don't you think the Ministry of Petroleum should have at least some kind of interest to ensure that's actually done?
Because if we would definitely, as far as I'm concerned, we have not received any formal communique from any entity saying that they are selling the price at the above the approved price. I have never had any official communique to that effect. So if we have not received any, we wouldn't think there's any need for the PURA doing its work, because as far as we are concerned, we have not received that. We have not received any information as to them selling above the approved price.
In fact, that's exactly what was happening. Like the government approved price would be, for example, 61.5 for example, in July, but then they were selling at 62.5.
We are not aware.
And then that started July all the way to October, and that's like what's been going on.
Last year.
Yeah.
We have not been informed of that.
So the ministry essentially doesn't pay close attention to the pricing.
When it comes to enforcement, that's done. We don't
Now, who is the biggest OMC in the Gambia when you were at the ministry?
In terms of importation.
Yeah.
I want to believe Oil could be. Because that information, unless we request for it, we wouldn't have that data as to who is the biggest OMC.
Yeah, because in terms of like petrol products importation, selling, yeah, generally like your output in the petroleum sector, like Jarrell, Oryx.
It will be Jarrell, Oryx, GMPC. Also, is one of those things. I think those three are kind of the
those are the three, the three biggest ones.
Biggest ones, yeah.
Now, this is exactly what I also wanted about this issue. Out of the three biggest, for example, we have two that are actually complaining. So, and that does not, alert anything on the ministry. That, what, we have our two biggest companies in the country, OMCs, that are complaining about space. Didn't that alone send a signal to the ministry that something may be going wrong in the industry?
Yes, it did.
So what have you done as the technician at the ministry?
That is what we have here. We have called up a meeting, inviting all players to get the first-hand information, because the initial one we get a complaint from Oil. So the best thing for us to do, at least to have, make it, also hear from the others. We invited all the others, not limited to Oil, but Oryx and the other players. GPS was also invited, and Petrolium, for us to look at the issue and know. And then, like we said, we've also raised a concern. If it's coming, you will get yes, you're getting 80%. Already that was a done deal. But going forward, they have promised, Petroleum has promised us that they will look at the matter and ensure that going forward, ULEZ will be given as set down by the rules and regulations. First come, first served. But their argument, like I said, was the reason why they're giving 80% of that ULEZ to Apogee then in June was that they have not had business from March. Between April and May, their tanks were empty. No.
Was that a one-off? Was that a one-off thing, or could they be operating for the past?
Those are the only 2 months they have mentioned to have open storage facility. And then so we realized that it is a concern, like I said, but since the issue matter was looked at both by Pura and GCCPC, which we will know, they will also, there was no point of doing another investigation, given the fact that they have been mandated to look at regulatory issues. And we were expecting that the outcomes will give us a recommendation. Probably Pura, we were thinking that advisory will come from Pura as to what collective measure we need to take as a ministry to ensure that we are able to address the issue. And we did get the recommendation from GCPC, like I said, but Pura's recommendation did not come forward.
Yes, I think we recommend to get the report from the GCPC.
It's a good one.
The report on the recommendations on the issues that was in the petroleum sector, like the issue of ULEZ. Yeah. From the Competition Commission.
And they have notified Gam Petroleum of the outcome, and they've also sent them the corrective measures, their recommendation, the action points that they want Gam Petroleum to take has also been submitted to Gam Petroleum.
Okay. Now also on the same issue, this particular meeting that was attended by some of those stakeholders, can we also have minutes of that meeting, so that we know who attended and what was discussed?
I think he already
was it the same minutes?
Yes, he requested for that, yeah. We will fight for it. Yeah, it's the same minute. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Now my last question actually relates to the board of Gam Petroleum. We understand that there's a representation from the ministry on the board.
No.
There's no representation
at Gam Petroleum board?
Yes.
No. We don't sit in that board.
But the Gam Petroleum Act of 2014, there's a special seat for the director of for the director at the ministry.
No. We don't sit at Gam Petroleum board. The ministry don't sit in that board.
Just a second. Now, I'll just read Section 6 of the Gun Petroleum Act 2014, which says the board of directors, and then the corporation is administered by a board consisting of a chairperson, the commission for petroleum at the ministry, the permanent secretary of the ministry responsible for finance, the solicitor general and legal secretary, the managing director, the desk officer responsible for petroleum matters at the office of the president, and one person from the private sector. So in fact, there is a person that's the commissioner for petroleum at the ministry.
You know, by the time I assumed office, the position of commissioner was non-existent. You know, with the establishment of the Petroleum Commission, so that position no longer exists at the ministry.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Yes.
That's okay. That makes sense. Thank you. Thank you, Coach.
Yes, thank you. Just a quick one. PS, clients were made by various OMCs, ranging from Java and Orex. In regard of this village issue, some of the difficulties that they are facing, some of them alluded that they wrote to Gun Petroleum on the issue. It was difficult with only a single line of comment. It was not a very nice response. In which they took to themselves through Pura and also the ministry. They themselves find that on all series of meetings that you have said, nothing came out of it. Where an OMC alluded that they had to sink. I can even say it might be a Gambian own. One of they are one of the biggest oil providers in this country. They have to restore to Senegal in order for them to do the ground transportation. Cost increase. Some of them, they were threatened in terms of their employees, in terms of their employment, employability, revenue losses occurred on them. As a ministry, you were unable to solve the issue of the village space, in which most of them said they had monitored to see that XYZ there are space. So to Pura, to the ministry, that this is what is happening, but yes, still, the monopoly is still there that is apogee. Now they have to go outside, that is Senegal, in which the ministry has approved, granted them, yes, go outside and bring. But the ministry was not in position to regularize the status of the village at the Gun Petroleum. Was there a soldier in Gun Petroleum that is setting barricades for anything to happen? I want to be clear on that, because it's really funny looking at the correlations of this. Because I want to know what had brought. Ministry, yes, can say, okay, we allow Senegal, go outside and bring. But here, with ascertain, is there, whatever, but there is a problem, and ministry could not solve their own issue but it has to. What went wrong?
Thank you. I think in terms of a soldier that the Gun Petroleum, I'm not aware of any soldier. But I think I need to clarify issues. As far as I know, the only instances where the ministry will give approval for overland importation is when there is a looming fuel shortage, and given the information from the traders, there is no definitive date of a vessel anchoring on the source of the Gambia. Let's say, because we are also in the system, we as a ministry are able to monitor on the availability of fuel in this country. We get information on a daily basis on the storage as far as Gun Petroleum is concerned. What stock do you have for petrol? What stock do you have for diesel? And also from GPS. And given those, and they will tell us what is the duration. So once we read those information and we know that they also give us the vessel information, let's say petrol, we have only one day, let's say as an example, one day stock left. And given the information we've received from the vessel, that is the traders, we do not foresee a vessel landing on our shores maybe up to the next week or 4 days or 3 days. That indicates is an indication that if we do not allow our important OMCs to get stock somewhere else, we might run into oil shortage. If that is the case, once we are able to establish that, then we can accommodate applications to import oil from Senegal. Those are the only instances which I know that we do give approval for overland importation. But apart from that, the reason why we give overland importation is not because of usage, but it's given because there is a moment fuel shortage in the country, and then we will allow them. And there is we are not foreseeing any vessel coming within that period. The ULED issue, like I said, I want to repeat myself again. Like I said again, it is a regulatory matter. It's a regulatory matter. In this letter, we have read, we've had the lead questioner has said, most of them were operational issues. Why, as a ministry, would we want to meddle in that? And like I said, we are aware that already these commissions we have made to the right authority, which is PURA, which is a regulator, whose mandate is to intervene and ensure that it is able to enforce the regulations and so that ULED issue is addressed. So knowing that PURA was working on that, and GCCPC were also by part of their mandate are also given that opportunity. We said, let us not interfere. We sit as a minister. When we are watching, that's why the reason why we had those meetings, at least to get additional information and also to have an understanding as to what is really costing, what has caused this ULED issue. I don't know whether I make sense.
Yes, the reason why I want to arrive, Chair, where you are, the OMCs that have sat to discuss in this matter, saying that was the only option. Space were there, they've seen the battle, left, right, center, involved stakeholders, nothing, and now an option came from the ministry. That is difficult for us to have something here. Then allow us outside, in which it was a predicament that they were allowed to go outside and take from Senegal. So this were the complaints that we advanced to us in this regard. This is why I want to arrive at the point where, probability of that issues in making sure that the space is being kept for someone, as I've said, maybe 80% or so. That's and also they've alluded that it's a GPS something. The space there also is very small compared to GNPC.
GPS, you have GPS.
Okay, GPS compared to Petrolium. So Petrolium is more bigger than the other one, so avenues were not. So this was why I said whether the ministry cannot take a decision and said, look, Petrolium, stop what you are doing, be fair, and do the needful. Instead, an avenue was opened that go outside to Senegal and bring. So this was a complaint that we wanted to avoid and see what could have been the role of the ministry if fairness is not given, whether PURA. We've asked this the same PURA, but it was just like, nothing came out of it as what we expect as an answer. Because findings were made, issues of battle, letter writing, whatever, and indications as we are talking. And all those letters were also shown that this is how we've been pushing.
I think, Honorable, like I said, the importation from Senegal has been existing long before this saga, this issue of ULED. It preceded ULED, and it's a regulation that has been in place as a contingency. In the event, we have run out of stock in country, and we are not foreseeing any, vessel docking within the shortest period. Then we will make provisions for them to go and buy and bring. So that Senegal option, like I said, is not meant to cater for the ULED issue, but it is given where it is, established that there is a looming fuel crisis as a result of unavailability of stock in our depots, in both depots. So it is not a substitute for this eulogy.
Yeah, my final question, Chair. As for what you've said, that when the minister was drafting this, you were sent a copy to, you said, I did go have a look onto this policy. In the final policy also, at the tail end, Honorable Abdul Joe, CC, you also copied. Can you confirm that you've also been copied this policy?
Yes, yes.
So it doesn't mean you only...
I was copied, that is why I'm given a copy of the policy. And all others that we are mentioning, CC, this is a copy of the policy.
Thank you, Chair. Yes.
Yeah.
I would start with regard of the legal notice who are sent to ultimate Greek energy. This was in the month of 6th October. I don't know, in this particular time you were the PS.
6th October, yes.
Okay. Because I was surprised that you say you did not know about it. And
you don't know about what?
The issue of the fine, because it was in this legal notice that who are fined these people 500,000. And then in the letter, you are copied. That is CC copy, Secretary General, Office of the President, Governance Secretary, MOPE. I believe that is your name. Meaning you were a recipient of this legal notice. But to my surprise, when you receive this legal notice, this policy, the policy that came up from your ministry, is within the same month, on the 6th October and on the 30th October. You are the parent ministry, we are complaining on issue of illegal transaction on petroleum. Then you as a parent ministry come with a circulation, circulation on a policy. So, meaning, to me, when I looked at it, it seemed that you are refuting what your institution that is under your ministry is doing. Because it is within the same month, they have a legal notice on issue of illegal petroleum transaction. That was their legal notice. But you come up with a policy. The policy seems to legitimize the issue of petroleum further within the country. What can you say, looking at these two policies?
What that letter from Pura, what was it about?
It was about the heading is legal notice pursuant to the enforcement of regulation 2010. But the content is about it's a take notice that the authority have investigated and is certified that Ultimate Beach, Gambia Limited, deliberately acted in contravention of the Petroleum Product Act 2016 by performing petroleum products supply operation without obtaining the required license. So basically, this is, in summary, this is what was the legal notice for.
Yeah.
But it was written on the 6th October. And then you were copied as a minister.
That legal notice, I didn't say I was not aware.
Yes.
What I said I wasn't aware is when he said Pura said, when he said, is it on? Yes. When Pura said, he said it is as a result of this policy that those two, the creed and whatever, refuse to comply. That was what I said. I was never aware because we have not received any formal notification from Pura on that. But this particular one, I'm aware that they have.
You have received?
Yes, yes.
Okay, but for my concern, after receiving this one, which it is legally complained, then you came with a policy on the 30th, and the other policy is it already looked like, as the lead council said, legitimizing this transaction.
Anyway, that is, so, like I said, I think he said the same thing, I responded. That is an opinion on your side. Well, I strongly believe that with the act, the Petroleum Products Act and the regulations on the petroleum products importation regulation 2018 and the petroleum products storage and whatever regulation. I think this policy cannot take precedence over those documents. And with those documents, Pura has all this, and also by virtue of Pura's Act, Pura has it has been given entrusted by its act, together with the Petroleum Products Act 2016, to take up those regulatory going forward. So I don't think this is a limiting factor as far as those regulations are concerned, because they could have used any of those to work.
Okay. Then my issue is, I think even you have mentioned it about this petroleum salary. So before Apogee, we have various players, international traders. They call them PSTV, others traffic ones. They were within the market here in Gambia. But what is happening now never happened. So what would you say then the issue of Apogee in the Gambian market? Didn't they enter the Gambian market legally?
As far as their transaction is concerned, and as far as the national standards are concerned, my understanding of their activity, if they as international traders, and based on international standards, and I do not see any regulation in this country that is saying that as an international trader, you need to be licensed to operate.
You mentioned it earlier on, just recently, that at the ministry, you normally monitor these vessels when they are coming to the country.
That it is stock, yes.
Stock level. Stock.
Yes, stock level.
Because it's true knowing what is the balance and the depth. You get the information, there is a stock amount, there is a vessel coming, and the vessel will arrive at this time.
This time.
You will get the entire detail of the vessel. Have you ever got the information of this vessel, Apogee, this 36,000 metric tons that we are talking about now, at the level of your ministry, before their arrival to the Gambian soil?
No. If it's about these 36 tons that you are talking about, sometimes some of the, operational issues, sometimes they will crop up as a result of one or two issues. First, before the last fuel crisis, we were in monitoring.
When was the last fuel crisis?
I cannot remember. I know it happened last year. But the month, I cannot remember. But I think it wasn't long, but there was fuel crisis. Before that, we weren't monitoring as a ministry. All that we would just see when it's about 2 or whatever, it will happen to us. And then to avoid those situations, we see how do we work with the depots to know that at least as a ministry, we are aware of stock in country, both for petroleum and gasoline and all the others, So that, and we also, from working with the Gam Petroleum, and the information doesn't come to us, but it goes to the depots, because they deal with the depots, not the ministry. But through our engagement with the depots, they will be able to give us information as to the first stock on a daily basis. What do we have? Gam Petrol will tell us, Gam Petroleum, what stock do we have for petrol, what stock do we have for gasoline, what stock do we have for jet oil, what stock do we have for HFO, and what stock do we have for LPG on a daily basis. And then GPS will give us that information as well. But this was prior to this happening.
So,
yeah, but what I'm telling you now, you are saying whether they are operating illegally. If it's them bringing supply and selling to OMCs, they are not doing anything illegal, because as per international standard, it's accepted. You don't need to be legally registered to be termed as a legal partner.
Yeah, but in the case of Apollo, they are here, ultimate rate and the free energy was
no, free energy and the other one, those one is a difference. They are different. Free energy and it's not an international company. As far as we are concerned, we don't have their details because they are not registered, they are not licensed. And that is why I'm saying this policy should not be a deterrent factor, you know, that should prevent Kura from taking any regulatory action they are supposed to take on these two companies. So, they have the authority, not the ministry. We are not enforcers. For us, our responsibility is to create the environment by making sure that we have the robust policies and regulations that's be able to administer. And then as far as I know, with these three documents I have mentioned, there is enough provision in these documents that should, you know, empower people to be able to do the right thing and make sure that the necessary punitive measures is taken on these two companies for violating our petroleum laws and regulations.
Okay, when you said there is petroleum crisis, what do you mean? Is it that there is totally lack of petroleum within the
totally, whether sometimes it has happened when diesel was not available in this country. So when it was, now we don't want to wait for that to happen. That's why with this information that we received from the two depots, if we know, let's say there is 2 days left or 3 days left, and we are not forcing any vessel coming from the information that we received from our players, then we will allow. Then you will say they will come. They are also partner, they will know. Either Oryx or their oil or whatever we say, given we have run out of stock and we are not foreseeing. And when we look at the detailed data, and we also are able to establish that yes, this is the situation, then we will allow you people to approve just for a period for you to go and procure. You will also indicate the tonnage, the metric tons that you want to import it from Senegal. You will give that approval. You go and come and then we make sure that I continue.
Now my final question is on the issue of giving apology that amount of space, because you say Gam Petroleum told you that there was a time when their accounts were empty.
That's what they said.
And then they give you a particular month, that was April, May, and June. And you said they have provided with a document. To prove
No.
They did not.
No. It was a meeting that the issue was there, and they said, but we have not gone further to request for that document. But I will suggest, I cannot impose, but I'm sure if we request for that information, they should be able. But they have been saying emphatically that for those 2 months, their labels were ended. None of those MCs that is claiming, for usage has requested for usage within those periods. And since they don't want to be operating without, having those facilities functional, this request from Apology came. That was the reason. That was the explanation Gam Petroleum gave to us in that meeting, where all the old OMCs were there.
Yeah, because it would be to my surprise, because the vessel we are talking about, that carried is 36,000 metric tons, landed in our shore in April. in the month of April. In the month of April, 36,000 metric tons is within our waters. Surely, then the month of May, maybe for April before they discharge, it will take time. But then for the month of May and June, through a parliamentary question, when I asked the minister, he told me May 21st or 23rd, there was a vessel that discharged with 14,000 metric tons. That was in May. Then in June also, another vessel.
Inside at that Petrolium?
Yes.
At Petrolium.
Yes, discharged at DP. In June, MT June also, discharged 9,485 tons, meaning that their tanks cannot be empty in those ones. Because the vessels already discharged in the tanks.
I think therefore you can that should be able to verify. If that was the case, if you look us for the details, but they have not submitted. Like I said, it was raised in that meeting we had with them.
Chairman, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Co-Chair. Madam Yai,
yes.
You've made mention earlier on about the GCCPC conducting an investigation with regards to this village for indigenous players not having access to the village system. After the investigation, since you said they've written to your office that they want to conduct an investigation over this issue, so in conclusion, have they mentioned or have they written to your office with regards to the fact findings, the facts that they've gathered with regards to that?
Yes.
So what was your reaction after that?
What did they have? It was not only a mere recommendation, but the recommendation came with the report came with recommendation and concrete action points, and they've gone further to notify GAM Petroleum of those action points that they want GAM Petroleum to take. And by virtue of their mandate also, they have the authority to ensure that those action points are adhered to by enforcing. So we have taken note of those action points, and we know by virtue of them, we do not need to intervene because they are fully authorized to make sure that those decisions are taken adhered to.
Honorable Co-Chair, the last question is, you've also made mention about giving an authority to other vendors when there is shortage of petrol in the country. Yes, and there will be no other option other than to give them an authority to bring in fuel from Senegal to the Gambia. So how do you confirm as a ministry that there is no fuel or shortage of complete fuel in the Gambia, so that whereby we need them to bring fuel in the Gambia? How do you confirm that? Control mechanism?
We receive daily update from the two petrol depots. On a daily basis, an email is sent by both of them to give us different update. As of today, 3rd September 2023, if I were there today, I would have been able to, with the picture of my email, I would have been able to tell you what stock we have at GPS in relation to petrol and diesel. Because GPS, they only to whatever. Then the GAM Petroleum also will be able to send us an email informing us of the levels, of the stock level. And they will also, there's a column which says number of days. It will tell you whether it's 3 days or 4 days. And other information that we also receive from these two depots is the routine of the vessels. Because the traders will be dealing with these two depots, depending on where they are storing their products. To tell them, we will send them information. Vessel X is coming, we give all the details and also the expected, date they are expected to dock. If you receive this information from GP telling us that we are expecting 2 vessels or 1 vessel in the next 20 days, that's for instance. And then we have received this fuel stock report from the two depots, which going through, we've realized that, let's say, petrol, you only have 5 days stock. And the next vessel that is expected to come into this country will arrive in 10 days. That is an indication that we will have fuel shortage, petrol shortage, if we do not allow to get other sources. So if we get that situation, we do not ask them to come, but they are also in the players and they know, because they do it, and then that's when we will expect some of those players, not all of them, but some of them will request to go and buy Senegal, especially when they are also, their internal tanks are also empty. Some of them, the stock will be empty, but they may have stock within internal also. So if they have internal, some of them will not worry, but those that have run out of stock and really need to refuel, they will request for approval to procure certain, metric tons from Senegal, and we will give it within a period so that we will close it, that amount within this 10 days, within 2 weeks, within 1 week. We expect it to get this, and then that's it.
Chair, in connection to her response, I have a question. Was there in any case that, for example, because sometimes we do hear that fuel, not even here, but we know that sometimes there will be an increment on the price of fuel, either gas or petrol. And have you ever come across, because according to your response, it means you only rely on the email, not physical, physically knowing that their tanks are empty. So what I am asking is, was there in any case that you've come across that yes, the vendor said there was no fuel in the land, whereby they need to bring in fuel from Senegal? Actually, when there was about to, or they have an idea of increasing the price of the fuel, and they kept some just for them to pay on that side. Was there any event that you came across?
So far we have not had that issue. But what I know is that, I don't know for what reason, if we had not come up with those measures, it would have been difficult for us to stop our OMCs from buying from Senegal. Because the request keeps coming, and some of them will tell you there is no village. And in fact there is village, but I don't know the reason why. But it's because of those reasons that we come up with some of the measures to ensure that it is only given once we are quite sure that that is the cost for the client, because we do not have it. So there is a 100% chance that if we do not allow them to buy from Senegal, we will have further crisis. When it comes to the prices, prices are regulated. And I think this mentioned that where there is a committee comprising the Ministry of Finance, who are the justice, and they use the foreign exchange rate, the plus international prices, and further with a formula that is used by the committee to sit and they will look at, and then they will determine the prices for the following month. Sometimes government will have to subsidize, but with recommendation and options, 1, 2, 3, most cases will provide 3 options for the finance. At the end of it, the finance minister that gives approval on what option, what price we should prevail, using based on the recommendation of the committee.
I just have 2 questions. Based on the submissions, we receive volumes of information from Petrolium, from GPS. Earlier on, you just said something. You said many of these OMCs will keep applying and they will say there is no usage when there is usage.
Did I say many of them will keep applying?
Yes. This you said in less than 3 minutes ago. Just less than 3 minutes ago. You said they will keep applying for overland importation, insisting that there is no usage when there is usage. But you end up saying, I don't know.
I don't know what.
That's exactly going to be my question. What did you mean by saying, I don't know?
No.
After admitting to the fact that unit is available and indicating that even though with the presence of unit, OMCs cannot have approval. Approval to issue. No.
For ULEG.
For ULEG. So what do you mean by I don't know?
I don't know what. Maybe the way what I said was, you know, he said how are we sure? The question was, how are we sure as a ministry that because we are relying entirely on the information that we get received from the two depots on the fuel availability at their depots. And he said whether we don't have other mechanisms for us to be able to establish. Then I said that is those are the two variables that is what we depend on. The information from the two depots on fuel availability. And once we receive those stocks, and also the vessels coming. Once we receive those information, and then we are able to regulate over it. Then once we receive a request for override information, and that is reflected in the data we receive, we give approval for them to go and purchase from Senegal. So override importation is not a substitute for ULEG. As far as we know, we have the recruiting regulations. As at now, there are gaps in terms of a comprehensive regulation that will ensure that there is a fair access. Every player has access to the ULEG. But as far as I know, the regulations as far as ULEG is concerned, PURA is on a first come first served basis. If that is enforced, this issue of having a monopoly on fuel access to the depots will not become play. Because if I come earlier than you, what we also need to ensure that all of them have access to the unit, to space.
What was that case?
That was not the case. Because I did not say there is no unit issue. Because like I said, I have been able to confirm, really has also confirmed that they, in June last year, gave 80% of units to approach. But they also gave the reason what they said was because they also were, their time were empty for 2 months. What we could have done also, the reason why we are not going for that is that we know both GCCBC and PURA, we are working on the issue because they have received this complaint from these two entities. And then the findings of the GCCBC, what I said, there is no point of doing because it's going to be a waste of resources. And then the findings of the GPPC, which you have requested, you will realize that they have been able to establish that within those periods, there was space.
Madam, the ministry have a fundamental responsibility.
Yes.
PURA would recommend to the ministry with regards to the overland importations, and the ministry would do the approval. Even the licensing of the OMCs, PURA would make recommendations, and the minister would approve. So now, when it comes to oversight, there will be no duplication of efforts. If the ministry rolls its sleeves and say, look, this is the way it needs to be.
And that's how. If we roll our sleeves and get into the do an assessment, so what next?
Have you ever done an assessment at the level of the ministry?
So what's next?
Allow me. Let me ask, sorry. I will ask the questions you answer, Madam Jai, please. Have you ever done an assessment at the level of the ministry?
A lot of assessments are done on different issues.
On specific plans with regards to the ULEG, have you done an assessment?
No, the ULEG you have.
You haven't done an assessment?
Because the only time when I was under my tenure as PS, we have not done any assessment on the ULEG because once we received the complaint, when the complaint came, it was already sent to the regulator PURA. And like I said, we know that issue, the complaint at that particular time was a regulatory matter.
The statement you said, when you said ULEG would be available, is corroborated by a statement that was received from Jawel and Oryx Oil, where they confirm availability of 9,000 metric tons of space at Petrolium. They applied for 6,000 Jar Oil applied for 6,000, they were denied. Felix applied for 5,000, they were denied. And these were the times that you were allowing Jar Oil to make overland importation. Now, Jar Oil came to the ministry. The ministry responded. The response was only 2 lines, that they have received the complaint from Jar Oil and they will look into the matter.
Yes.
Wait, full stop. Jar Oil started making applications to you for overland importation, and they were granted when there was no indication of oil scarcity.
Those requests, have you seen who approved those requests? I think it was good that you find out.
You were the permanent secretary and the advisor to the minister.
Yeah.
We'll get to you to know the mindset of the minister. And if he doesn't consult you in critical issues also, you have the opportunity to bring it to the level of the committee.
Yeah.
Okay? Were you consulted during those efforts?
You know that those overland importation was not coming to the ministry, the process.
Okay.
It used to go through Pura.
Yes.
Pura will review, and then they will send us their recommendation, either to give or not to give. But like I said,
Now, who approves the overland?
the minister.
The minister. So they come through the minister.
Yes, it comes to the minister.
Now the question is, does the minister consult you in those approvals?
No.
Yeah, he does not consult you. So as far as you can tell, you have no information with regards to the overland importation.
It doesn't consult us, but it comes with a recommendation. Pura approve, disapprove, and we will usually it comes through a folder. The minister is the first person that sees the folder before the PS. And if it comes approval, then you only control it.
So tell us your level of involvement and knowledge with regards to the overland importations.
Overland importation, like I said, it used to come through Pura.
No, your involvement now.
Now, I'm not involved.
You are involved. I will stop it here.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm not involved.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just want to get confirmation from PS. Because I think twice he mentioned that for 2 months the Petrolium tanks were empty for 2 months. If I remember right, you said twice.
That's what they said, yeah.
Yes. Now, have you made any attempt to verify the truthfulness of that statement? Whether for 2 good months their tanks were empty? Have you made any efforts to confirm?
We have not.
You have not?
We have not.
Now, is it possible for gun petroleum tanks to be empty, knowing the OMC we have and the limited capacity they have in their stations? Is it possible for those tanks to be empty when the OMCs, in fact, do not have any other storage facility except GP? And GP, we know they can only store about 37,000 metric tons. So is it possible, knowing the capacity of the OMCs in the country, do you think that statement can be true?
I think it is possible if, one, depending on what capacity they have in Ghana, what storage capacity they have in Ghana, if they have been able to get a special stock, maybe that might be, but I do not expect them to be importing every 1 month, every 2 months. Some of them will do it for a period, 3 months stock, and then once it is about to whatever, then you can either engage a trader outside so that it is brought into your name, or you may wait until there is, already a stock in, and then you buy from the trader. It's possible, and we also know that though the capacity of GPS is small, 2,000 but they still can store. So, but I also want to believe that the gun petroleum and anything like gun petroleum, I assume that the management is responsible, and I wouldn't expect them in a meeting where you have sector ministry and others, and even the regular, I think what I want that meeting, for them to come such and make such, a pronouncement without having when it is by so I want to give it the benefit of the doubt. But to be honest, we have also not gone for that individual to verify to ask whether that was the case. But what I do know from the feedback we received from GCCC, we know for that party June, what they said as fact that was fuel. So the issue of not refusing the request from Java was not the case for that fuel in June. So May, April, May, I cannot confirm because we have not gone for the case.
Yeah, because according to the
June there was space.
There was space.
When Java.
Yeah, now how do you know that there is space? Is that they tell you, or there's kind of report that they share?
They have a report that
they share.
That should tell you.
Yes, because I know for Java, in fact, they confirmed at the time of their request, there was a space of 10,000 square meters. Others as well, they said at the time of their request, they know there was a space of 9,000. So effectively, which means there was a Petrolium was not actually denying them, but it was not about space. Maybe for some others.
You know, we have, since I happen to be the sector, permanent secretary in the sector, but you also understand that when this whole issue of now also new sector planning. I'm not an petroleum expert, never worked in the petroleum sector. So while I was having that field, I was also learning. So some of the issues I may not be the right person to give those advice. So I was also learning through the process. And in fact, this ULEG when it emerged also really helped me to be able to fasten my learning in the sense that it gave me the opportunity or push me to start, digging deep into some of these issues, be able to, acquaint myself with some of the issues that I may be faced with. But I think one key issue that we also need to consider or to be aware is that I've also had so many engagements. I've also tried to find out. We also not lose track of the saga, the Dam Petroleum saga, which happened a few years ago. And that has really portrayed our country negative. It has really, portrayed the country negatively in terms in the eyes of our international traders. And for us as a government to be able to come up with the necessary requisite regulations to be able to entice some of them to come back to the Gambia, I think we shouldn't lose that fact. I think the other issue I also want to raise is that based on my engagement and findings, we have so far, we have not seen any record of an OMC bringing a vessel in this country. I stand to be corrected, but have gone here.
But would that be possible because they have an issue with you, even to get 9,000 metric tons?
I'm coming to that. So as policymakers also, I think once we take decisions, we would want to take those decisions wearing different lenses. One, we will also want to make sure that we serve the needs of our OMCs who have been licensed to operate, and they also have the critical role to play. They need to have access to fuel, and it is this international traders that brings fuel into this country. Do we want to create the situation where they have to compete for storage with our OMCs, who we are quite sure that they do not have the capacity, the financial muscles to bring oil into this country? But some of the time, so when we sit in our offices or when we decide, these are some of the issues that comes into play. What do we do as a ministry to make sure that all we are able to satisfy all these players in the market, making sure that at least our international partners are coming because they have the financial muscles. Our OMCs have the license, trade in petroleum products, but they don't have the financial muscles to bring those products to our depots. So how do we manage that? If, as a government, we say it's on a first come first served basis, and we give all this knowledge to our OMCs, and a vessel comes, an international trader comes and does not have space for them to access, how do you go about this? I don't know, but sometimes when we take issues, these are some of the issues that we also, look at. I don't know.
Yeah, thank you. And the last question, yes. The last question I have is, because I know you said that maybe the OMC do not have the financial muscle. I give an example, Oryx, which is an international company, and Jawel. Have you ever received any information from them to state that we do not have the financial muscle to do or to bring A, B, and C to this country? Have you ever received any information from them, written or oral?
We have never received, but I also want to believe that they have been given an importation license. I don't think there is any regulation that is stopping them from bringing vessels.
No, but when you bring the vessel, you have to store it somewhere. Because the vessel is not going to stay in here until you are ready, right?
But there is a process.
Yes.
What the international traders do, if jar oil is really ready, I want to believe that they will be given that opportunity to be able to buy, bring vessels, then store. Anyway, because with all this ULET issue, it is not, they are not bringing the vessels.
Yes, that's exactly what you're saying.
Yes.
Because again, this is a very volatile business.
Yes.
And one of the most important is to be able to store.
Yeah.
Otherwise, when the investors come and they don't have where to store, then you're going to have to start to pay extra cost. Now, to maximize on your profitability, if I have to calculate very carefully, do I have to bring 30 or 40,000 metric tons? When I know I may not have space to be able to do that. So, then the question is like, what do we provide as a country to allow those domestic companies, like I will call it domestic companies or government companies, to be able to do that? Because of, again, there are only two storage facilities, GB and GPS. So this is exactly where we have an issue, where we say, okay, we may not have the financial muscle. Now, I would have loved to know that is Oryx or Jawel that says I do not have the financial muscle to bring a vessel into this country. Then at least I would have been very comfortable. But again, since we've been dealing with them so far, none of them actually have said that I do not have the financial muscle to bring a vessel. So which means the only thing that we can conclude in this is that they may not be able to get enough space to be able to store when they're doing. Yeah.
Kocha. And Kocha. Yes. They are fighting. Please, I want to be protected. So, from that end, including you. Kocha, one simple question, please. Yes, very simple. Simple, very, very simple.
Yes. Yes. I want to ask, prior to the ULET issue complaint lodged by Jar Oil, was there any attempt of them bringing vessel? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, P.S.
Yes.
During your questions and answers with the lead counsel, you've been repeating there was no regulation for international traders. And I just want to find out, in the event there is no regulation or law for a particular issue, what presides over?
I don't think I said that no regulation for international traders.
When I jotted it down, I wrote it when you were answering.
maybe it was a syllable, but I didn't say that.
Okay. Now, even that, probably there is no regulation. Like certain things, because of there's probably no regulation or there is no law, either allowing it or banning it. What precise over?
But I don't understand your question. Please.
What I want to say here, like, you know, in the formation of regulations or laws, you can't exhaust everything. So there will be events or activities where you can't find that a regulation or a law that is saying no to this. So in the event that did not happen, what precise, like, what now? What are you going to do now?
If that's what has happened, it's a matter of, if it's a regulation, you have to review the regulation and see how you make sure that you are able to make sure that it addresses those challenges that are seen as gaps. If it's a law, then it's a matter of trying to amend that law and bring it back to the National Assembly to make sure that the specific provisions are included in it.
But what if in this event where the CP is already here, the cleaner is already here, and then he's just telling because he's not lancing yourself, and he's doing something illegal. Illegal in the sense that he's not lancing yourself.
As far as I know, as far as our regulations are concerned, international traders can stock and can sell. At the border, which is the depot, and that is considered as the border. That's where they can bring, and that's where they can sell. What they can do is to, be selling to, within the country. The border and sell. And the border, as far as petroleum product is concerned, is the depot. The storage depots like Petrolium and BBS. Those are the border.
Mr.
Yes.
To your response to Honorable Bo's questions, you indicate that at the level of the ministry, you normally ponder over the capabilities of the OMCs with regards to having the financial muscles.
It's not ponder, but based on records. We have not.
Sorry,
any,
can you put the mic down?
Yes. Based on records, like I said this is what I have. Also through the process when this issue started happening, I also tried to do my research to see whether there is any OMCs that he has or at any given point in time, if there is any OMC that has ever brought a vessel in this country. And that is when I have been able to establish that so far, no OMC has ever brought a vessel into this country. Most of them will be relying on the international traders to buy and sell. Some of them will deal with them even before they bring their stock, so that it comes into their name as OMCs.
Are you aware of the industrial standards that were being applied with regards to regulating the affairs of the OMCs and the international traders before coming into force of the policy?
International standards.
The industrial standards, are you?
International standards, like that is the normal standards.
Can you tell us?
They bring international traders, they don't need to be licensed. They will, prior to commit, they are expected to apply to village. And once they receive, they get that approval from the petroleum, whatever they applied for. Then before they come, they also need to provide.
Madam, I want to put it to you that only started after the policy. The industrial standards that were extracted from the former permanent secretary who was there before you, and the Minister of Finance states that international traders can only come to the Gambia after being contacted by an OMC, and it will be the OMCs who will apply for unity. After having confirmation from the international traders and confirming the date of arrival of the vessel. Having attained approval from the depot, the international traders now will come and dock. So the safety policy allowing the international traders bringing the fuel up to the border came into force by the provisions of the policy. And this was collaborated by the former Permanent Secretary and the Minister of Petroleum and Energy, from whom you took over, and the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, who were the ones regulating the petroleum industry. So now, I want to ask this question. And if at all you do not have experience in it, you would admit. I want to ask you this question. How were the OMCs bringing petroleum products into this country? You cannot answer. By the time you came to the...
As far as I know, they were putting in vessels into this country.
How were they bringing fuel? How was their fuel coming to the Gambia?
I cannot tell.
Was it not coming by vessel?
No, them being the one, when I mean bringing, the vessel will come. It's all petrol products that will undertake to it.
I understand. You are talking about the volume, right?
Yes.
Yes. You know OMC will bring that volume into this country because there was fair play in the market. The usage was given to multiple players. If you have 15,000 or 6,000 and you have 6 or 7 players and all of them have equal opportunities, 7 of them each one will have 6,000. Can you equate that to taking the entire 6,000 and giving it to water? Maybe the opportunity given to a company, if it were only was given to a trader, he would have abandoned, he would have gone in.
I think we will be repeating the same issue.
No. Okay. My final question would be this. When you, at the level of the ministry, realize that none of the OMCs have ever brought in a vessel, did you engage the OMCs to ask them why?
No.
Did that finding motivated the conceptualization of this policy?
No. This was, like I said, if I did not take part in the engagement that leads to this policy, how would that go by the justification of the department? Because I have made it very clear that I knew when this policy was policy.
To what extent?
So definitely we don't have played any role. That one was for my own consumption.
To what extent did those findings influence the actions of the ministry with regards to really regulating the monopolistic transactions that Apoji was having at the level?
As far as I am concerned, I have not given any instruction or act in any manner that would have resulted in this monopoly.
But you were the Permanent Secretary.
Yes, but you would not, I have not in any way instructed the Petrolium either to do a policy or to do a data, asking them to prioritize approach as an international trader in giving them over 36 tonnage of ullage to store their stock in this country. So I have not, that information was for my own use. It's good that I'm very in the sector. You know, get information.
Have you ever participated in any meeting where this particular issue was a subject of discussion? That is to say that Gambian OMCs have never brought in vessel. Have you ever?
No.
Have you ever had any discussions with the minister where this thing came up? No. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Thank you very much, honorable members. I want to use this opportunity to that we have put to her. On that note, we thank you so much for your cooperation and for the time that you have taken. I understand you came and then waited for almost about 1 to 2 hours. We apologize for that. On that note, honorable members, I thank you all for your participation. For the meeting, this has brought us to the end. But before we adjourn, I want to gently remind this judge that the following documents are requested, which should be provided or not before Monday on the 9th of this month. One, the write-up dispatched to the Ministry of Justice for legal advice, and then 2, the minutes of stakeholders' engagement. 3, the printout of the email sent by the Minister of Petrolium to use the PS to edit the draft policy. We need to edit the draft policy and attack again. That's your response. That is the edited version of that. And then 4, the report from the Competition Commission on the issuance of the unit of the Petrolium. Ready? Yeah. Okay. Honorable members, I believe these are the 4 documents requested. If so, we expect these documents to be presented on or before on the 9th of this month. I believe that is not on Monday. Having said so, once more, we thank you for answering to our call and your full participation in this very important platform. To the clerk, office of the clerk of the National Assembly. Honorable members, tomorrow there will be no sitting as per our agenda or calendar until Thursday. So can somebody move that you guys don't be until Thursday?
Do we have any submissions from anyone for Thursday? If we do, it will be good to meet.
Yeah, it's a normal meeting day.